Hi everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are having an amazing weekend. I do apologise for that. There was a certain border collie trying to play with another border collie and she still has her cone of shame on, and so it makes loud noises. But look, the garden is doing amazingly. Look at the pumpkins. They are kind of coming out and we've got flowers going, and yes, this is a sunflower. It's not the sunflower I intend to show you. This was a rogue sunflower that ended up in our mixed winter squash seed packet, and there was another one. Unfortunately, it didn't survive, but this one is just coming up and doing a sunflower thing, even though it's not a sunflower. You can see the pumpkins have got flowers coming on them. The zucchinis or courgettes are doing amazingly well. And then over here, we have loads of flowers coming on our runner beans, which means we're going to see some beans too. We've got some red ones here and we've got some white flowers over here. This one just wants to keep growing. The nice thing about this particular spot for the beans is that, as you can see, the sun is over there, sun is setting. The end of the day, they get a lot of shade kind of for the heat of the day, which means they don't wilt too much. And the same is true over here for the peas, which are doing amazingly well. My broccoli is also doing incredibly well. I haven't had much this week. So my wife has been away all week in Seattle, in Washington State, which isn't too far away, but she's gone for the whole week. So I haven't been doing a whole lot of cooking. I made some food on Monday, and then I basically had that reheated for 2 days. I think I'm cooking something easy tonight. I've got a baked potato in the oven because I'm cheating, but she'll be back later, and then we'll be back to eating proper stuff in the garden later on. I'm so glad though that I left my leek flowers after my leeks decided, these are last year's leeks, after they went to flower, I left them on, and look, we've got a bumblebee just coming and collecting all the pollen. They're now over on my oregano. My sprouts, look at these. This is my best sprouts I've ever had, and I don't want to jinx it, but I think my sprouts are doing amazingly. Over there in the bit that I still need to weed, I haven't done it. I don't think I've ever actually told you why. So even though I'm pretty healthy these days, I've lost a lot of weight, as you may or may not have known if you follow the channel. I think I'm probably at like 45 pounds I've lost since this time last year. Because of the medical condition I have, long QT, I'm on medication that lowers my blood pressure. It doesn't lower my blood pressure because I've got long QT. It is a side effect of slowing my heart. So long QT is all about the speed of your heart, and it can develop irregularities in your heartbeat if your heart beats too quickly. So I'm on medication that actually slows my heart down. And the side effect of slowing my heart down is that my blood pressure is terrible, especially in the evenings. So if I come out here and I try and bend over to do a whole lot of gardening or kneeling, every time I get up, I get lightheaded, which is kind of embarrassing, which is why I've kind of just let things do their own thing. We have some great progress on the corn. We've got some random grass in there as well. But look, we've got tassels coming. These are actual factual tassels on our corn. I'm really excited about that. The onions are coming on well as well. There's nothing kind of really to report on the onions. The sad news. Oh, the good news, we've got plenty of raspberries coming, which is wonderful. But we've got some sad news here. I'm just going to give the dogs a call. Sky, Ghost, come. Sky. Good girl. Come on, Ghost. The good news here, though, is the tomatoes are just growing like bonkers. But I need more stakes. So the stakes we did put in are now too small. And I need to basically tie all my tomatoes up because right now they're just going absolutely AWOL. I am trying not to leave the house this week much, so I haven't gone to get any stakes. I need to go and get some because that will make it easier for me to make sure that my tomatoes don't just all collapse, which they will do. I mean, that's naturally what they want to do. So I want to try and stake these up, and this tomato especially, this little miniature tomato, is gone a bit bonkers in terms of where it's going. But look, I've got some lovely tomatoes coming on here. I think it's going to be incredible. It's lovely to walk down and see. We've finally got some cucumbers coming on, nothing that's worth sharing yet. And the chickens are doing great too. We cannot eat the eggs right now. They picked up some parasites, let's call them parasites. So they are on a regime of medication right now to clear them out of their insides. And these particular parasites don't get transmitted through the eggs. It's only through the feces. But because we put them on medication to get rid of them, and we think only one chicken has got it, but they have communal water and everything. So we are not allowed to eat the eggs while we are treating them. And then we'll give them a couple of days, one way or another, and everything will be pretty cool. But you know what I am going to show you here, which is super exciting. And I don't want to jinx it, and I'm worried that I will. My local utility company runs a special thing in the winter and in the summer, basically when there's going to be high energy demand. They give you $1 credit on your electricity bill for every kilowatt hour of power that you would normally use during a given period, but you are not using during their peak power events. And it took a long time, but I've got the F-150 Lightning. That green light there is it pulling power and powering the majority of the electronics in our house right now. And that means that from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m, I think the system kicked on at I managed to finally get it working around 8 minutes past 5 this evening. So the peak power event runs from 5 to 8 p.m. It is now coming up to 10 to 8 in the evening. And basically gonna get $1 for every kilowatt hour of power that I don't use during this period. So I could end up with like $15 of power, of credit on my electricity bill, which I'm really excited about. Anyway, that's not the thumbnail for today's video. And I know the thumbnail for today's video was really exciting, at least it was for me. So I'm gonna save that until the very, very end. So the potatoes are doing great. We had a lot of potatoes growing. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 loads of potatoes now, which is great. The automated watering system is working incredibly well. It looks a bit dry right now because it's the end of the day. But if you look in there, see all that lettuce is growing amazingly, and the potatoes. Parsnips are doing weird things, but they're putting up new leaves, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. I think they got a bit dry a couple of weeks back. My rocket has rocketed, but I'm gonna save the seeds. These are the seed pods here. I'm gonna save these seeds and maybe have a go at planting them next year to see if they work. The parsnips from the previous year have finally started to play catch up, which is wonderful. And we've got more volunteer potatoes. So we've now got volunteer potatoes in 1, 2, 3 tubs, and then there's some over here as well. So what are you going to do? Volunteer potatoes everywhere, doing all the things. My wife came up with a really fun way of securing the apples on this tree so that this branch didn't break here, and it seems to be holding. So look at these apples. They are getting pretty big. They're not quite ready to eat yet, but a couple of days ago I was cooking something and I used a couple of apples off that tree and they were very tasty. We cooked with those, but these ones are eating apples, and look, they're getting there. They're drinking a lot of water at the moment, but I'm watering them regularly and they seem to be doing just fine, so I'm not going to jinx them. As I have told several people in the last couple of weeks, I feel incredibly lucky that I live here, that I live in a rural location where I can grow my own fruit and vegetables, where I have the space to do all the gardening I want, and obviously my dogs have got plenty of places to play, to play and walk. I also want to show you my front here, my front bit here of the garden. Chamomile's looking incredible. I know it looks like a bit of a mess, but I think it's pretty. And of course also my hanging baskets are doing amazingly. But look, this is what we came here to talk about today. The wonderful sunflowers that have popped out in the last week. It is just wonderful to see all the sunflowers. And it's just like this mass, right? So we've got one here that's yet to come out. All of these have got to come into bloom. The bees are just loving it. The bumblebees especially love coming in here and seeing all of the different sunflowers. And I know I went overkill this year with sunflowers, but it just looks incredible and it's so pretty. Just look at them. And I know someone's been eating this. I don't know who's been eating this, but the rest of the sunflower's doing okay. So I'm not going to complain too much. But you know, nothing says summer like a really beautiful sunflower. And this is just, I think this is picture perfect. It's been wonderful to see them. In, you know, a couple of weeks when these ones start to go, there'll be more coming in their place, and we'll get loads of birds coming and helping themselves to the seeds. The chickens love sunflower seeds, so they'll be getting some as well. And then we'll probably end up collecting some and using them in the future for next year. So if you are growing sunflowers, I would love to know what yours look like, because these ones, I mean, there are some over there that are as high as the guttering on the first floor. Second floor. You can take the Brits out of America, but I can't remember the phrase now. I learned that this is the ground floor and this is the first floor when I was growing up, and when I'm tired, my brain goes back to the British way of referring to things, which sometimes causes amusement amongst friends and family. But I know that this is the first floor and that's the second floor. And if you're watching this from abroad and you're like, what's she talking about? Yeah, Americans like renaming things. Anyway, tell me about your sunflowers. Tell me about your garden. What is coming into flower for you right now? On that note, we are done with today's video. If you have comments, drop us a polite note below. You can also reach out to us on Mastodon. You can also reach out to us in the Discord chat room, or if you're a Patreon supporter, just reach out to us there. If you want more, subscribe, hit the bell and follow the links below to regularly support us with a YouTube membership or a Patreon subscription. You'll also find links to our Ko-fi, Bitcoin and Swag store, as well as that aforementioned Mastodon server. We're also, by the way, now posting some of our videos on PeerTube. So if you want to support the PeerTube side of things, go watch them there. Scrolling on my right is the list of amazing Charged Up supporters, and shout outs go out to our V to G Patreon supporters. They are Alan Tupper, Andrew Martin, Bennett Elder, Brophy Wolf, Chris Maxwell, Cyprian Laplace, Dan Blair, Gordon C, Hay Esker, John Tramal, Kyle Fox, Mark Eggleton, Peter Dillinger, Regine Fallows, Sean Tucker, Stefan Framgen, Stephen Williams, Taslet in the Gong, Paul Bricknell, Tony Moss, Carl Hodgson, Chris Centaur, Denny Hyde, Lance Lal, Linda Irish, Mike Weeder and Paul Nelson. And finally, big thanks to our off-grid supporters. They are Paul Conway, Kevin Burrowbridge, Stephen O'Donoghue, Jim Burness, Robert Flannery, Aaron Hahn, Ellery Hensley, Rory Litwin, JP Fagerback, Dave Kitchen, Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak even, Chris and Michael Johnson, Claywit, CPU Freak 101, Eric Knack, Joe Bresney, John Henderson, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Drobnak, Nigel S, Reggie Watts, Will Graylian and of course Ian. Don't forget that we produce content on the main channels Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday, and then on a Sunday come over here for sunflowers and our chicken and garden update and our Sunday musing, which today has a very gardeny theme. It's coming out later on if you've watched this just as it's dropped. If not, if it's kind of after about noon Pacific time on a Sunday, it's probably already there. Go watch it. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. There's a dog making the sunflower move. And until next time, keep evolving.